If your child stops crying or never asks for help, or maybe they reassure you that they're fine, well, for most of us, that would feel relieving. And I get that because on the surface, it looks like they're doing okay. Maybe they're the easy child. Maybe they're the low maintenance child. I've got one of those. Maybe they're really mature for their age. But I'm telling you, the child who has genuinely stopped needing you didn't get to that point by growing up and being mature. They got there by learning something. What they learned is that showing their needs creates discomfort for you, for the relationship, and for the whole dynamic. So they stopped showing that. They didn't actually stop having needs. They just stopped showing you what those needs are. And that's the difference. And it matters more than almost anything I'm going to say today. Before I walk you through the 5 habits that create avoidant attachment, here's one thing you can use right now. When your child brings you something, whether it's a feeling, a question, or something they're excited about, I want you to stop everything you're doing for 2 minutes. That's all it takes, 120 seconds. This is magic. Make eye contact with them. Let them finish. You don't even have to respond. You just have to be fully present. That is the 2-minute rule. And it does more for a child's sense of connection than almost anything else you can do. And that's because what they're really asking isn't, do you have time for this? They're asking, do you have time for me? Avoidant attachment is not a personality type. It's not a child being independent, introverted, or even naturally easygoing. It's actually a strategy. Their nervous system ran the same experiment hundreds of times and got the same result, which was that reaching out doesn't lead me anywhere. So I'm going to stop reaching out. It could look like a 4-year-old who doesn't cry at drop-off when every other child does. It could be a 10-year-old who shrugs off a hard day at school without wanting to talk about it. It could be a 16-year-old who genuinely doesn't seem to need you anymore. That's not because they're all grown up, but it's because they stopped expecting connection a long time ago. Real, true independence grows from security. When a child feels safe enough to fall apart, they also feel safe enough to go out and try hard things. Avoidant independence is the opposite of that. It actually grows from suppression. That child's internal logic is basically saying, my needs are too much, so I'm going to manage them by myself. And because that coping strategy works beautifully in childhood, that child will often get praised for it. Teachers will love them and parents will feel relieved. But what started out as adaptation slowly becomes who they are. It becomes their identity. And by adulthood, that person genuinely believes they're someone who doesn't need much. I've been working with families for 30 years, and I'm going to walk you through the 5 habits that most reliably create this pattern, what you can start doing differently today. Habit number 1, the most common habit, is one we often don't even recognize as a habit. Your child is upset, and you might say, you're fine. It's not a big deal. There's nothing to cry about. You might not even be harsh with this, and you're usually just trying to help them move past it faster. Or perhaps you're uncomfortable watching them suffer and you want to make it stop. But what that child's nervous system registers in that moment isn't help. It's information. And that information is, my emotions make this person uncomfortable. They want me to feel something different than what I actually feel. And over time, that child learns to deliver what you're asking for. They stop showing feelings. They say, I'm fine, because I'm fine is what keeps things comfortable between you both. Their emotion doesn't go away. It just goes underground. And the child slowly loses the habit of bringing their inner experience to you at all. Now, here's something really cool, though. What you can do is simpler than you'd expect. You don't have to fix anything. You don't have to find the right words. You just have to name what you see and stay with it. Hang in there. You can say, I can see that really hurts, or that looks like that was really hard. Just learn to tolerate your child's distress without immediately trying to shut it down or fix it. That is actually one of the most powerful things you can do for their sense of safety with you. Okay, habit number 2 is subtle, but it might shape a child more than any other habit on this list. Let's say your child is upset. They're crying, they're distressed, they're falling apart, and you wait. Maybe you're uncomfortable with the intensity of what they're feeling, or maybe you believe they need to calm down first before you should even comfort them. Whatever the reason, that pattern becomes clearer over time to them. Warmth comes after the feeling stops, not during it. So the child cries, you maintain silence, the child calms down, and you move in with warmth. And what that nervous system learns from that pattern is this: connection comes after I shut my feelings off. The pathway to reconnection isn't through emotional expression, it's through emotional suppression. That is exactly the pattern you see in avoidant adults. They can't be vulnerable with their partners in real time. They can only reconnect after they've handled everything privately and return to feeling calm themselves. And that's because their nervous system learned a long time ago that connection is only available after disconnecting from emotion. It's not a choice they're making. It's a pattern that was built inside of them when they were really young. So what I want you to do is when your child is experiencing some kind of feeling, move towards them. Don't wait for the storm to pass. Sit with them. Be fully present. Be calm while they're still crying. That is the message their nervous system needs. What you're saying is, I'm here with you in this, not just after you've handled it all by yourself. I believe when we learn to suffer with our kids in their pain, that can be one of the most powerful ways to connect with them and to teach them that they can trust you when they're hurting. Okay, habit number 3 is harder to catch because it actually looks like good parenting. Your warmth spikes when your child achieves or does something really well. And then it goes quieter during the moments when they just need connection without any reason attached. So they become performers and high achievers. They learn that competence is the currency in this relationship, not feelings. They become straight A students. They never admit to struggling. They are the responsible one who always has it together. Underneath, they are lonely because nobody sees their real struggles underneath the performance that they're putting on. This one shows up very clearly in teenagers. It's the kid who can handle everything alone and never asks anybody for help. They seem fine right up until they're not fine at all. And by that point, they've had years of practice not telling you things. So what I want you to do is when your child shows you real emotional honesty, you can just name it and reward it directly. You can say, I'm really glad you told me that. That will be way more powerful than saying, I'm so proud of you for not crying, or I'm so proud of you for whatever. What I want you to do is teach them what actually earns closeness in this relationship is emotional openness and honesty and vulnerability, and not just holding everything together. All right, habit number 4 is the one that lives in the gap between being present and actually really being there. So let's say you're in the room and your child is in genuine distress, and then something happens and you become unreachable. Maybe you're on the phone, or maybe you're just really uncomfortable with what they're feeling. That happens to a lot of people. Maybe you're going through something of your own and simply don't have the space for it. But what your child experiences is that the person they need the most just left, not physically, but in all the ways that really matter. When a parent's face goes flat or unreadable or obviously disconnected during a moment of distress, that child will usually register that the same way it registers threat, because unreadable or distant means dangerous. So for you, when you feel the urge to pull back, just say one thing before you act on that urge. Just say, I am right here. Staying with them is enough. Now, the 5th habit is the one that many of us might not even think of as a parenting habit at all. And that's because kids learn far more from what they see than from what they're told. You can tell your child it's okay to need people, feelings matter, and asking for help is a sign of strength. But if they never see you doing any of those things, if they only ever see you handling everything alone, appearing capable under all circumstances and never reaching out for help, well, that modeling is what really will teach them. This is why vulnerability on our part as parents is such a connector with our kids and models healthy ways of expressing our emotions. So if this is you, Allow your child to see appropriate vulnerability. It doesn't have to be the entire weight of all your adult problems. That's too much. But they can definitely see the ordinary human stuff. Let them hear you say, I'm having a hard day and I need a few minutes. Let them watch you call a friend when you're stressed. Just let them see that people they love the most are also people who need things sometimes, because that's what teaches them that needing is human, not weakness. Now, I want to say one thing about what this looks like in adult relationships. That child who learned not to reach out becomes the adult partner who can't reach out. They will pull away when things get emotionally close or intense. They will seem like they don't need you. They go quiet when their partner needs them the most. They will seem fine when they are not fine. And they cannot explain why intimacy feels threatening, even when they genuinely love you. And their partners will always feel chronically alone. Not because the avoidant doesn't care, but because they learned over years of reaching out and getting nothing back that showing a need leads nowhere safe. Now, luckily, this is not a life sentence, but it is a long road back. The earlier we can interrupt these patterns, the shorter and easier that road becomes. If any of what I'm saying resonates with you, I want you to know there's hope. All of these habits I'm talking about, they come from good parents who are trying to do their best. And when you can make these changes, mostly by being present and learning to tolerate the uncomfortable feelings of your kids, their nervous system will update on all of that. They are getting new evidence that you're showing them. Here's what's awesome. What this means is that repair is always available. You can even own it and say right to your child, I've realized that I haven't always made it easy for you to come to me because I get uncomfortable. I want to change that. Saying that alone is enough to open the door and make changes. And remember the 2-minute rule. It is so powerful. I've used this on my own family with my own kids. Anytime they come to you, stop what you're doing. Look them in the eyes. Nod your head as they're talking to you. Just give them 2 minutes of being fully there. I promise you this is simple, but doing this can change everything. If you want to go deeper on building this kind of relationship with your kids, or anyone for that matter, my course, Connection and Credibility, can be found at drtoddtalks.com. I have free videos, articles, and podcast episodes there as well. All right, I'll see you next time.